Producers, the Loopcloud Sounds VST just came out, and it's the biggest music production game changer this year, if not the entire decade. Here are 5 reasons why that's the case. It's Loopcloud's massive database of over 4 million loop samples and sounds right in your DAW. No more second application, no more opening and closing windows. You just simply find the sound that you want, click, drag and drop it right into your DAW without ever leaving the space. All of those loops can be locked to your project's BPM. All of those samples can be locked to your major or minor scales. And I've already said this once, but it's worth repeating. You never leave your DAW. You find the sample, you click, you drag, you drop, and you move on. Workflow will never be the same. And just for good measure, there's an additional find similar feature that's just incredible. It works so well, I can't wait for you to try this out. Without question, since Loopcloud's launch, this has been the most requested feature, including from yours personally. I bug the team about it all the time, and I'm so excited that not only is it here, but how good it's working. It's literally making music fun for me, and that is such a big deal. It's a joy to look for samples, quickly drag them and drop them into my project, and I've made a ton of projects just testing out this VST to make this video for you. So with that being said, let's go ahead and jump into what's new inside of this incredible Loopcloud Sounds VST. All right, so the best way to show you this VST is just to jump right in and start using it. It's so great because it's so simple and yet so powerful. Let me show you. Drag and drop Loopcloud Sounds onto a MIDI channel. It is resizable, and this is it. You never have to leave your DAW, but you have access to 4 million loop samples and sounds. Well past 4 million, because it was 4 million like a year ago. So let's just start a beat. There's a few ways to do it. So we can go by instrument here, we can go by genre, or we can go by any collections that we've made, or we can actually jump into our own sounds, which will be the sounds you have in your Loopcloud library. So these are synced, right? The points I have here that I'll spend, my library from Loop Masters and Loopcloud, it's all accessible through this VST now. And of course, the stuff that I don't have, the new stuff, is also there. So I'm going to come in and let's just go for maybe deep house and just hit enter, and now I'll be in deep house. And all of these filters here at the top are intelligent. So as soon as I hit loops, you'll see that one shots is now gone. As soon as I get rid of that, it's going to say, hey, which one of these do you want? If you want one or the other, I'm going to come into loops. Also, it's giving me sort of the top choices that I usually go for. So bass and drum are definitely my first go-tos when I'm creating a track. So that's what I'm going to do is just hit drum here. It's also got the plus or minus 10% of the BPM. Now I mentioned this in the beginning, this is synced to my DAW. So my DAW is 24 BPM. And all of these will be played back, time stretched and warped to that tempo. Now, if I want to not have anything too time stretched, so if I don't want like a 100 BPM getting pushed up to 124, I can just say, hey, keep the range around my project BPM, and it will just warp a little bit less. So maybe better results, maybe not. And click, drag and drop. It's that simple. Now, I don't have that. That's from the store. Unless you're searching in my sounds, I believe everything you're seeing here is going to cost points. Now, inside of my preferences here, I have auto purchase when dragging. I have that on. Now, you don't have to have that on. Let me show you, in fact, if I turn that off, what that does now. If I come in and find something else, and I try to drag and drop there, you'll see that it's saying, hey, you need to buy this sound before dragging and dropping. So if I want to buy the sound, I just hit buy the sound, and now I can click drag and drop that way. That's a very important feature. I don't think it's on by default, but for someone like me who's a power user, I'm going to have that on, again, just so the workflow is that much more seamless. And like, we're already on our way. So what I'm going to do is just be quiet for a second and just put a bass line and maybe a synth in there. And let's just see how quickly we can get from these cool drums into something more resembling a track that we might be able to make. Just hit bass. what's funny is that first bass is the one I want, but I didn't want to just be like, oh, that's the one. Just to show you, all of those would work in terms of starting an idea, right? So I'm just going to click. Need to go in and turn on my preference there again. Come back out. By the way, I've switched my default library location. That's important for me. You can resize inside of here by percentage or down there in the bottom right. I am sending data just so Loopcloud can be improved, and you can choose to restart playback with your DAW. Those are all preferences that are available there. I'm just going to click, bring that in. And I just love that it's in there, and I just pull it out, and it's already synced to my project, and it's just ready to rock. Let's move on to a synth. And again, look at how this is updated. So these are all sub levels of the synth. Synth is kind of like an umbrella term, and then it's saying, hey, do you want a 303, an ARP, a lead, a pad, a plug? What do you want? And it's just because I have that, it's giving me the updated, intelligent ideas of what it thinks I might want to be looking for. Now, we've got a bass line in here that's at A minor. I'm going to go ahead and turn on key lock down here, and I'm going to turn it on A, which just is correctly identified, the one I want, and I'm going to turn it on minor. So now, not only can I search for A minor inside of the search here, I can just leave all of these on and will automatically pitch shift the sample or loop based on not only the major but relative minor of the key itself. So we're getting a whole host of really great transposition at our fingertips automatically. So let's see if we can't find something. Okay, so that's an example of the playback there. You see my transposition is started, but the loop hasn't started. If I come into preferences and then turn that to yes and then close, boom. Now it's going to start and stop every time I'm doing it. So when I'm actually in the midst of digging for loops, I'll probably have that on. And then when I'm going to come back and look for fillers and stuff like effects, I'll probably turn it off and do that manually. But for right now, when I'm in the moment, right, creativity is flowing, I'll probably keep that on. Let's just drag this in. I think that's probably going to work out nice. Again. And the first one, I didn't script this. I think that's super dope. So I'm just going to drag and drop that in there. We've just started a deep house track, all with royalty-free samples in that amount of time while I was explaining what I was doing. I don't know how long it's been. I don't have a timer for how long we've been recording, but that was not a lot of time. A few other features I just want to point out before wrapping up here is if I right-click, I can find similar. And not only is it lightning fast, but listen to how close these are. Now, all of those sound incredibly similar. I don't know if it's using tags or AI. I know Loopcloud, the application has AI, so that might be implemented here. But no matter what, those all sound very, very similar. So they're a good way to build out a track. You know, one of the things is like you might find that great loop, but if there's no complement to it, you might be stuck. But this is just saying, hey, here are like 10 options that would really work if you wanted to trade out a piece, if you wanted to go in and edit and take one from one and apart from another, or whatever you want to do, accompaniment, harmony. All of that stuff is just made so much easier with this similar sounds feature. I mean, it's just so marvelous. A couple other things. You can turn or mute the application right inside of it. You also you can remove the sync if you want to bring in the audio's original BPM and maybe warp it yourself in something like Ableton Live, you can do that there. I pretty much just keep it on. The algorithm inside of here, oh, I don't know if I can say that. Never mind. But it's really, really powerful. And really, that's all there is to it. As I said in the beginning of the video, it's incredibly simple, but incredibly powerful. We're talking about 4 million samples that are professionally sound designed and crafted by some of the best sound designers there are out there. And they're at your fingertips inside of your DAW. I didn't have to leave my DAW for this. So it's like your little sample browser inside of Ableton Live, but with 4 million samples in it. And just like, iTunes revolutionized tracks when you can buy one at a time, you can do that one at a time. If you don't like the lead, you don't need to buy it. You can easily add it to a collection or favorite it. Like there are so many options that it's just a no-brainer. You need to have this in your machine if you use samples at all, which I think everybody does, whether or not they want to say it. But anyway, that's where I'm going to leave this. Do leave a question or a comment in the description, and I will get back to each and every one of you. But as usual, I'm Joshua Kasper. I hope you learned something, and I'll see you in the next video.